Hello. So this is Hero. He's my puppy. But yeah, this is Hero. Told you I'd include him. Good boy. All right, get down. Oh, jeez, man. Okay, holy crap. All right, so I'm gonna try and one take this sumbitch because I've never really. Okay, scooch over. All right. So anyway, this is a response to M64Bros. I asked if I could respond to something because it looks like they've been getting a lot of bad responses in reference to something specific. And I just wanted to give something that was a little bit more not thought out because this definitely is not thought out. But anyway, so there was a video that the Retro Game Bird did, the RetroBird did, and it was about Nintendo and fans were upset and this that and the other thing. So I basically said that I'm one of those fans that's upset, and I've more or less written Nintendo off. So um, and then someone said, "Oh, no, you own a Switch for more than just that." I'm like, No, I pretty much own a Switch just for collecting purposes and games that Sony is banning from their platform. Because apparently Sony is 90s Nintendo and want to ban everything for the kids. Anyway, so I'm gonna go through their stuff here. Um, I'm gonna skip just a little bit ahead. Um, So I don't really know much about this whole thing with Iwata's death and excuse $20 membership and $25 Zelda Amiibo. Like I don't know a lot about that because, like I said, I kind of like don't. I've been out of the Nintendo scene because they've kind of proven that they just don't want me in it. Especially because like one of my games when I was a kid was Metroid. I loved Metroid and Super Metroid especially. Whenever it was springtime and my mother took me to um, Kmart, and so I had saved up for a while, and my mother said that she would match me dollar for dollar for getting a bike and for spring. And we got there, and what should be sitting on the shelves, like, because I went to the video game section while she went and did some stuff with my sister, picked out some clothes or whatever. Um, and I went to the video game section, and something was sitting on the shelf and it was Super Metroid. And I was like, Kid Gordon was like, I mean, I don't know how old I was. It was maybe 8 or 10. I don't know when. But anyway, probably older. But anyway, um, I was like, yeah, I want Super Metroid. And my mother said, okay, well, you can have a bike or you can have Super Metroid. And so I played Super Metroid a lot that spring. uh, but whenever they did um, they shut down AM2R. That hurt. Like that hurt a lot. They would just because that's essentially telling them like, look, Metroid fans, we just don't care about you. Like, here's this massive fan project that I mean, look what Sega did. The Sega, I mean, we got Sonic Mania out of that. Like Sonic Mania was basically a fan project, and then Sega was like, you do good work, let's have you make an actual game. So they did. Um, but then Nintendo was just like, all right, well, here's this, and then we're also going to shut this down, and we're going to put out. I'll be blunt. It was a crappy game. Let's admit, Samus Returns is a crappy game. It didn't really play like Metroid. I'm talking about Metroid Dread here too. There is zero reason why um, Samus should be whapping something with her arm cannon. No reason whatsoever. Like, do you really think whapping something with an arm cannon has more like oomph than like just hell, just shoot a missile point blank. Like Samus is immune to her missiles. Um, like there's no point for that. It's a stupid extra mechanic, and then on top of that, the amiibo thing. Um, Nintendo has always prided themselves that like you can put out a game early and it'll be bad, or you can delay it and it'll be good forever. Um, and like they always, and it started with, what was it, Mario Golf on the 3DS or whatever it was, where they started with the season pass, and then Nintendo's just steered so much into DLC territory, and that's one of the main reasons why I can't do it, because for me it's physical or nothing. I mean, I'll show you. I mean, I'm just the other night I was playing. Drop the other controller. Just the other night, I mean, I was playing, Saturn and stuff like that. I have a frighteningly large Saturn collection because I was a Saturn fan when I was a teenager, and I just kept it over the years. But um, you know, it, to me, it's physical or nothing. Like I don't do digital at all. There's very, very, very few games that I've done a digital purchase for, and then, so there was that. But Nintendo locked like actual content behind a Metroid amiibo, and that was the last straw for me. Like I was just like, you know what? I'm done. So yeah, I own maybe 30 games on the Switch, and that's between both uh, me and my significant other and me, and that's again both of us. Um, so there's that. Just a little bit of backstory on that. Um, 2 months ago, Nintendo re-uploaded the Nintendo Switch Online membership for the third time. I am aware that people despise the online and don't like it. Um, it's kind of an understatement. So the reason why we don't like it is because a lot of reasons. All right. So first off, they're charging for something, and especially at launch. Like at launch, it was terrible. They were charging for something that was broken and didn't work and offered less features than the free version of PlayStation Online did, like at launch. I mean, I mean, let's just talk about, why isn't there integrated voice chat with Nintendo Switch Online? That's not something that Nintendo has never done before. Nintendo has done, look, the 2005 Nintendo launched Nintendo Wi-Fi connection online multiplayer services about the Nintendo DS. Metroid Prime Hunters, which was released in March 2006, was the first game that allowed voice chatting. I mean, that was 2006, so it's 15 years ago that they did that, and that was free. There's no point that Nintendo Switch Online has to go through an app on your phone. Like it's just, there's so many things that are broken and wrong with the Nintendo Online service. I mean, it's better now that they have the Netflix style, Nintendo and SNES, that kind of thing. But even then, like the past year or whatever of it has just been dreadful, honestly. Like I think the last really good game that I remember just flipping out about whenever it launched was Kung Fu Heroes, and that's because that was one of my friends and I. That was a game that my friends and I played whenever I was a kid a lot. Kung Fu Heroes is really good. Play Kung Fu Heroes with your friends. But yeah, so a lot of people don't like it, not because they don't like Nintendo, but they don't like it because it's other other services were done 15, even 20 years ago with Xbox Live, um, that were superior than what Nintendo is currently offering. And especially with their expansion pack, they're now offering like N64 games that are emulated. They are running off of emulation, and the emulation is inferior to what the homebrew scene has actually done. So that's egregious, honestly. There's no excuse for that. The comment section was 10 times worse than the video itself. Yeah, comment sections are all going to be bad. Most of the people in comment sections, in my experience, don't even care about the video. They're just there just to mess with people in the comment section. People guilt tripping over Iwata's death as an excuse for a $20 online membership, which wasn't that expensive. I mean, yeah, $20 isn't that expensive in the grand scheme of things, but I mean, you got to think that like there's people that $20 is a lot of money too. Like me, whenever I was a kid, like I remember the one holiday I got Double Dragon for NES, Fester's Quest for NES, and 4 pairs of socks, and that was my holiday. Um, my mother got Fester's Quest and Double Dragon for, and I know because I saw the price tags, for $1.98 each from a local store called McCrory's, and that was an amazing holiday. But I mean, that was my holiday, and now kids are used to getting so much. But I mean, there's some people out there that, I mean, a Switch is like, if they get a Switch, then they're pretty much borrowing games from their friends because they don't have enough money to get any other games. So like, if the, I mean, there's like, I have my significant other's family. Like, we bought her nephew a game specifically so that he could play, and he couldn't afford the online service for, and this was Sony, but I mean, that's slightly more expensive. So we ended up buying him the online service too. So I mean, there is, I mean, yeah, it's only $20, but I mean that is a lot to some people. I mean, and especially with how little Nintendo was offering along with the online service, it just, there's a reason to be upset there, especially with how broken it was. Because I mean, let's say you want to play Splatoon and you want to voice chat, and if you're playing Splatoon and you're not doing voice chat, you're gonna lose 9 times out of 10, because the other team is doing voice chat and they can communicate with each other and they can say, okay, go here, do this. I'll go over here, do this. Um, so it is a problem. Like, it's not, and there's no reason why Nintendo shouldn't be doing it. There's no reason. A few weeks after they were doing over again with the $25 Zelda amiibo. So I didn't have a problem with amiibos to start with, but I do now because they're now locking features away behind amiibos. And then the other problem is that they're making amiibos exclusive to certain things, like certain. Man, they're even making them exclusive to certain regions now. Like, from what I know, there's a few amiibos that you can only get by importing from Japan. So I mean, amiibos aren't. Whenever they brought them out, they said that they're not going to be some limited thing, and now they are very much a limited thing. Like, good luck trying to get that Metroid amiibo for Samus Returns. Like, you can't get it unless you want to spend, I think it's what, $80 on eBay or whatever. And Nintendo sees none of that, and there's no reason why they can't just have that on their website and be like, okay, do you still want these old amiibos? We still have them, and okay, just order them. So anyway, yeah, there's that. Um, People were saying quotes like Iwata spinning his grave like a jet engine. A respectful Nintendo fan told me whether Iwata had anything to do with charging for online or not, they shouldn't be doing it. It's worse than Wii U Online, which was free. Which, I'm sorry, that's a true statement. And I mean, the Nintendo Wii Online, it had integrated voice chat with a lot of games. It had a lot of good stuff going for it. I had a Wii U. The Wii U is another reason why I actually stopped being much of a Nintendo fan, because they just lied so much about what they were going to do with it. One of the things that they teased, and this is before the system came out, they said that there was going to be two things absolutely sold me on the Wii U. One, they said that they were going to have a Dungeons and Dragons game where the DM had the tablet and then everyone else had like a Wiimote. And you could play, you could use the Wii U as like a Dungeons and Dragons game. And they said that they were working with them to do that. And then they also said that they they teased a Zelda maker, and they said specifically that the person on the tablet is going, and they were like, we envision it being like the new Four Swords. They said one person's going to be the dungeon boss or whatever, and then you're going to be able to design your own dungeon, and you're going to be able to spring traps, and you're going to be able to like drop monsters on them in real time, and everyone else is going to have to like work their way through the dungeon. So I mean, I heard that, and I'm like, man, Dungeons and Dragons is cool, but give me that Zelda maker and I am sold. I'm so sold on that. And it just never happened, and we still, like, people have been begging for it ever since, and there's just hasn't been anything about it. And Nintendo's just, so many people want that. How well would a Zelda maker sell? And they just don't. They just don't. And it's because Miyamoto. That's a whole separate story. But Miyamoto is so set in his ways that, in his view, if he feels that there's nothing else that can be done with the series, then that's it. We're not doing anything. If he can't innovate it in some certain way, then he's not going to iterate it, which is essentially just put out another sequel with, updated graphics, new. Like, we'll use F-Zero as an example. People have been begging for a new F-Zero. I have been begging for a new F-Zero. That's actually what the original post was about, was F-Zero. That's F-Zero right there. Anyway, but I mean, even why haven't they even just? I mean, they've got GameCube working on it with emulation. Why can't they just make? And it's not like they don't. Monkey Ball's all over the Switch right now. I mean, why haven't they just gotten Sega, that division, to do an HD version of F-Zero GX and AX? There's no reason why they shouldn't. There's no reason why they. It's just it's a missed opportunity. It would, like, how many people have been begging for it, and even if it doesn't even sell a million copies, it would shut everyone up, and it wouldn't cost nearly as much as, like, just making a whole new game. I mean, it already still holds up. Like, the graphics for F-Zero GX are still amazing. It wouldn't need much. You just stabilize the frame rate, and anyway, it's getting back to it. Majority of people are sheep and just accept it, and that's true. Um, you know, Most people don't care about, you know, um, console wars and what is and what isn't. Most people just are like, most people aren't like us. Most people just get a Switch and they get Animal Crossing and Mario Kart, and that's the only games that they have. Um, that's the vast majority of people, is that that's all they play. It's just like 2 or 3 games, and that's it. Um, and and they're happy with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you need those people. So, like, whenever okay, so I taught martial arts for a good long time, and someone asked the senior master, and they're like, so why? There's all these people that are like, they're kind of bringing the school down. Like, they're only here for like once or twice a week, and they don't really care about what we're doing. Like, why do you have them in the school if, like, they're kind of just holding the rest of the class back that does want to be doing more advanced everything else? And his answer was specifically, if I don't have those casual people here, then we won't be here. We need those casual people to pay the bills, so that I can keep the lights on to teach you who wants to learn. So, I mean, that's unfortunately the epitome of Nintendo right now, is they don't care about the actual fans that made them anymore. All they care is about chasing those little tiny people who are just going to get, 1 or 2 games, and then that's it. Um, so that's the unfortunate truth of it. Another nice Nintendo fan told me Switch Online was decided early in development when Iwata was still alive. I can't comment on that. I don't know. In fact, all the stuff Nintendo said during Switch was decided when Iwata was still alive. Again, I can't comment on that. I don't know. I'm not. My dad doesn't work at Nintendo. I don't even know my dad. Anyway, I found that very disturbing and ungrateful. I mean, long story short, and this is an unfortunate realization that people have. Nintendo's not a person. They can't be grateful or ungrateful. Nintendo is a company. They are out to make it. They're out to make money. They don't care about their fans anymore. And I mean, I've covered that already. They are here to make money. That's pretty much it. And the reason why a lot of the fans are upset with them is because they don't want to make money on their fans anymore. They want to make money on all these casual people who just, oh, I got a Switch, and look, it's Animal Crossing, and this, and you know, yeah. Anyway, imagine Sakurai looking at all those quotes and comments. Imagine how sad and heartbroken he would be when he sees people mentioning him. Those comments have served me so bad that I've been telling people to stop. Um, I mean, you have to think about the other side of the coin, though, too. Like, if Sakurai saw what Nintendo was doing now, would he be fine with them basically milking everything for what it's worth and providing a substandard service and charging so much for it? I mean, it's, it could go either way, and we don't know because we're not Sakurai. And the same thing could be said of Gunpei Yokoi. I mean, you know, um, anyway. But we don't know because we're not them, and yeah. Nintendo is not EA. No, Nintendo is not EA, but Nintendo does most of the the crappy things that EA does, just without all of the. Nintendo's not being malicious about it; they're just being greedy about it. EA seems to be malicious about their greed, whereas Nintendo is just like, we can make this money. Um, Another respectful fan told me this. Why are people calling Nintendo EA anyway? Firstly, the subscription. Although it's sad that you need to pay for it, it's only €20 a year. Like, this isn't even 7% of someone's normal payment. So, I mean, that depends. It depends. Honestly, depends on what state you're in and what job you have. I mean, if you're working minimum wage in a state like Pennsylvania, where 7.25 is the minimum wage, then like after taxes, you're only taking home like $300 like every 2 weeks, maybe. Like after taxes, especially because you have to have healthcare now. So I mean, there's people that are still only making like $800 a month, and like it's not okay. But I mean, it is what it is, and everyone has to decide what they want to spend their money on, and that's part of the reason why I've stopped buying so much Nintendo stuff. Is I'm speaking with my wallet now, and yeah. Secondly, the difference is with EA and Nintendo that Nintendo doesn't have microtransactions in its games. It absolutely does have microtransactions in their games. It may not have things like loot boxes yet. It will. It very much will. Um, but I mean, I said it years ago. Whenever and they absolutely do have microtransactions. I mean, what is DLC other than just a microtransaction? It's a smaller transaction that adds to the game, and that's basically, I mean, if you want to be completely honest, I mean, DLC is just a microtransaction, um, whether it's a season pass or anything like that. But I mean, Nintendo has all sorts of skins and everything in different games, and I haven't paid attention much. I don't know how egregious it's been with Nintendo, but they absolutely do have microtransactions in their games. And it's even worse because most of the stuff that Nintendo charges for DLC is stuff that's already on the cartridges. There's no excuse for that. That is something that is some of the most anti-consumer things, and there's been court rulings on this where that people like court rulings have said like you can't sue them for piracy and that kind of thing because you sold them this, they own that, and they're still. I mean, they're not. Good luck finding the court rulings. I found a few of them here and there, but most of them are in California. But people like pirated a game just so they could get the full access to the game, and the courts were like, is it on the cartridge? And Nintendo was like, well, yes, but, and the court's basically like, well, no, but it's it's on the cartridge. Anyway, so moving on. There's a lot of the stuff that Nintendo does with their microtransactions is just it's not okay. There's no excuse to have something that is um, it used to be called on disc locked DLC. Um, and you can blame Sega for starting this actually, because the very first game that I remember having that on was Phantasy Star Universe, um, where like 70% of the game was on the disc, but you couldn't actually play it unless you were online. It was anyway, and I loved Fantasy Star Universe, and I found it sad. Anyway, when you buy a game from Nintendo, you buy the whole thing. You absolutely do not. Not anymore. You used to. That was one of the things that Nintendo was the last holdout on that. So I mean, I do give them credit for that, but not anymore. There's so much DLC for games, and one of the problems with the Switch Online service is that expansion pack is locking the Animal Crossing DLC. They're letting it. Oh, pay for the expansion. It's only an extra $20 a year for your family, and you can get this Animal Crossing DLC. Well, I mean, yeah, was that content made when the game came out? No, but it's still that's part of the whole game now, so you're not buying the whole game anymore. I'm so it's just the unfortunate truth of it. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's the whole industry. It's not just a Nintendo thing, but I mean, but again, credit where credit's due. Nintendo did hold out pretty much the longest for that. There's very, very few companies that don't sell you the whole that actually sell you the full game when you buy it. Excuse me. Ever since I've been trying to tell people to stop, they didn't believe me. I mean, again, most of the comment sections, you're just not going to be able to. They're just dingle dongles, man. They're not there for anything other than just this. They're not there to. Excuse me. They're there just to troll you. They're not there for any other reason than just to get a rise out of people. They probably don't even know what the argument's about. Excuse me. Um, and again, like these are horrible people. These are horrible responses. There's no reason why they should be responding this way. This could be phrased so much better, and it would be. I mean, I'm not backing this person. I'm not condoning this person, but they're not technically wrong. I'm not saying you, but there's a lot of fanboys, and it's not just Nintendo fanboys. I mean, there's PlayStation fanboys. There's I'm a Sega Saturn fanboy. That's me. I'm also a 3DO fanboy, Sega CD fanboy, um, but yeah, there you can like something and still criticize it for its problems. And this person, one, needs to learn how to spell and actually get a conscience. But anyway, but yeah, it's Nintendo doesn't really need people to defend it. If they wanted to defend themselves, then one, they would either put out a better product with their Switch Online service, so where they wouldn't need people to defend them, and then there's other people that anyway. Moving on. And again, like this doesn't actually add anything to the conversation. Like this person is there's the only reason why this person is in the comments is to poke fun at people that like they probably don't even know the arguments as well as you do or even I do. Like I admitted that I don't know what's going on with like I wasn't there. I didn't really pay much attention with the whole thing that you wrote this letter about, but there's no reason to treat people like this. It's inexcusable. They shouldn't do that. Okay, keep going. I don't know what movement they're talking about, but these okay, yeah, people are idiots. And again, they're not here for anything other than just a fight in the comments. Um, I just don't just ignore them. One day I finally did something no other Nintendo fan would ever do: write the truth in Nintendo. I mean, when I've written Nintendo several, not actual letters, but emails. I did write Nintendo a letter when I was very young. I disproved something that they put out in Nintendo Power, and then they wrote me a letter back saying, this, that, and the other thing. I still have that letter, actually. It's in storage right now. But anyway, um, But yeah, Nintendo knows that we're upset, and they know exactly why we're upset, and they just don't. They don't care that we're upset. They don't care that we're, you know, um, they just don't care that they're losing longtime fans because longtime fans, we're gonna buy the games regardless. I mean, there's people out there that, you know, the same as me. Like I'm not a fan of Nintendo really anymore, but I own the Link's Awakening collector's edition. They still get money from me, and they know that. They know that we're still, even though we're upset, we're still gonna buy their crap. As flawed as it is, like Zelda Link's Awakening, they put that filter at the top and the bottom of the screen that like makes it hazy. Someone modded that game to get rid of that filter, and it has a more stable frame rate. So they put that filter in there that no one likes, specifically because they thought that it looked better, but it brought the performance of the game down. And they still have yet to enable an option to disable it. Anyway, um, but yeah, there's I mean, there's people that Nintendo's not the worst video game company out there. They're absolutely not the worst. I mean, that's hyperbole. Um, the new G-Man. Am I subscribed to that person? Let's figure this out. Who is that? No, I am absolutely not subscribed to this person. Um, I thought that might have been GGG man. I like him, but anyway, again, this has no point. Well, these are the same comments that you put up before. But yeah, they're here just to they're here just to get a rise out of you, unfortunately. Um, I wasn't able to read any of this, but anyway, but yeah. So I mean, you can write them a letter. That's fine. They know already, though. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. Um, Nintendo Switch Online. I'm aware of some people disagreeing on it, but the one part that does concern me makes me feel kind of people guilt tripping you Iwata's death. I find it very disturbing. You're grateful. Try to tell the truth. Stop them. I mean, and unfortunately, that's the problem. Like they know they they have focus groups. They probably knew that people were going to make those comments before they even uploaded the video. Because they have the money to pay psychologists and that kind of thing to predict all that kind of stuff. I mean, Facebook knows when you're going to go to the bathroom before you even have to go to the bathroom. Like that's true. That's that's 100% true. Um, but yeah, so I mean, they have algorithms and everything. These companies know more than you think they do. Um, I made some videos defending your company, and some people are getting it, while others kind of disagree. Um, I'm just trying to tell the fans the truth, while some of them disagree on me. I will always love your company, and you're free to love Nintendo. Again, I'm not saying don't hate Nintendo. I'm not saying not to be a Nintendo fan. You be a Nintendo fan all you want. One of the things that one of my guilty pleasures is I love bad games. Um, Here, let me just grab it off my shelf real quick. Hang on. So the big thing with me is that I tell people like what you like, play what you like, but don't pretend like it's not flawed in any way. So it's just a matter of you can like something and still admit that it has problems. Like one of my favorite games as a kid was Castlevania 2, and I still love Castlevania 2, but it's got problems, dude. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, one of my all-time favorite games. Which way's it go? Sewer Shark and this is the 3DO. Um, I have 7 copies of this boxed copies of this game on the 3DO. Um, I have countless copies of not boxed. I only have like 4 boxed copies on the Sega CD, but I have a whole stack of just discs for Super Shark. Every time I see it for $3 or less, I buy it just because. Um, so I find Super Shark to be so much fun. I think it's such a great game, but the problem is I realize it's a complete garbage game. Um, it's just fun though because it's so bad. And it's so simple. But I mean, it was a product of its time. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but like what you like. But you have to be able to extricate yourself from the situation and not pretend like there's no fault. Like there's Nintendo has been messing some stuff up lately, and that's just the unfortunate thing about it. So I grew up playing Nintendo games. I'm just trying to do my best to defend you. I grew up playing Nintendo games. My first system was, and I still have it. It's a 1978 Atari Heavy Sixer. Um, that a friend of the family gave me with just a giant box of games. And that was great. Um, I played it on a black and white TV that was only like I think 9 inches big. I didn't care. That was little 4-year-old me was amazed. But yeah, so um, the unfortunate thing is though, like Nintendo, like I said, they don't need you to defend them because if they weren't messing things up with their longtime fans, then the longtime fans wouldn't be upset. And then you can't please everyone all the time. I'm not saying that. Like you're always gonna have people that just don't like what you're doing. Um, and you just can't help that. Like, but I mean, there's enough people to where I think it's negative publicity is what they're striving for. I think what they're doing is they're trying to get these people mad with um, and then once they do roll out like the proper thing, and I think they're probably going to do it. There's probably going to be either a Switch Pro revision that's going to be like a really powerful Switch, or there's going to be like the Switch 2 or whatever they're going to call it, and that's when they're going to roll out. I think the Switch was a proof of concept, in my opinion. I think that it was something that they were like, we don't know if this is going to work. We think it's going to work, but we don't know that it's going to work. Hopefully it works, but we don't know for sure. And then it turned out to be a huge hit. And there's some evidence that points to that, but that's not what this video is about. But I think that most of the stuff they're doing now is just experimenting to see what they can get away with and what they can't get away with. So there's that. Metroid, yeah, Metroid. His hat looks like Big Metroid. Sorry. One last thing, I heard you making an animated movie and rumored anime series. Animation style from art. Okay, so anyway, but yeah, that's wildly more. I can't even draw a straight line with a ruler. I'm not even kidding. I literally cannot draw a straight line with a ruler. I have negative artistic talent. Um, anyway, I haven't received. Yeah, their turnaround's horrible. Um, both Nintendo's side and the fan side. And kind of the problem, one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video is because the fan side is understanding why the other fans are upset instead of just blindly defending Nintendo. Um, Nintendo's manners, respect developers' manners. Sakurai. Um, yeah, Sakurai's done some pretty good stuff, but he'll never top what he's done now. He needs to retire after he's done with this. Um, um, Sacrifice, luckily I had both right. Wrote that letter for 2 reasons, proving Nintendo still loves the fans. Um, I mean, they love parts of us, namely our wallets. It's, again, my opinion. I mean, I'm sure they like having people on their side and that kind of thing, but it just seems more and more like they're after money and not actual fans. Um, all right, so that's that video. Then you made this video.
Alright, before this video starts, if you haven't seen I wrote a letter, Nintendo a letter video, if you haven't seen this video, make sure to watch. Haven't watched it this yet.
We just went through that.
It's been over a few months ever since I mailed that letter to Nintendo. Now let me tell you something. All the hate comments I've been pressured on. Well, when I made this video, I actually never thought Nintendo would actually respond to me. Well, now you don't have to worry anymore. Yep, they responded to me. I'm gonna read the letter for you guys. I'm gonna read this letter, and I'm gonna see.
It's very heartwarming. Yeah, I mean, it's the PR machine.
You will not believe what they just told me. It is very, very heartwarming. I actually never thought they would respond to me in this way. And I gotta tell you guys something. The response was very, very heartwarming. I actually never thought Nintendo would actually do this. But in my response to Nintendo, if you are watching this video, I just want to say a humongous thank you. Thank you very much. I am very grateful that you actually responded to me. If you didn't even respond to me, like, that would be totally fine. Like, as gratitude of my YouTube channel, I will always defend your company and your developers and Sakurai. I care about your developers and Sakurai.
So let's pause it right there. So one of the problems is, like I was saying before, is you can like Nintendo all you want. And I mean, in the end, I still like Nintendo. I just wish that they were still Nintendo. It just seems like they're not the same company anymore. Um, the Again, I mean, I hate to say this, but they really don't need people defending them because they're perfectly capable of defending themselves. And granted, like, yeah, it's good to have, like, some of my favorite YouTubers are just nonstop positivity, and I think that's what people need more than like just straight up defenders. So, like, for instance, one of I don't know if you've seen Maximilian Dude. He's one of my all-time favorite YouTubers. He's just so positive. He's just always about, like, it's all about the game, and it's all about playing with your friends, and so let's go. Yeah, like, Max is awesome. But when he presents criticism, he does it in a way to where he acknowledges what they're doing right, but he also acknowledges what they're doing wrong. So, like, one of the perfect instances with that is whenever he was criticizing Capcom for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. He says it's one of his all-time favorite fighting games, and a lot of people very much disagree with that because, I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is, in my opinion, it's an objectively bad game. There's a lot of stuff that it does wrong, but he finds it fun for his reasons, and I understand why he finds it fun because he likes, a lot of the crazy, flashy, unga bunga, all this other kind of, stuff like that, and it does that well. It just fails in so many other areas, but he acknowledges that it does fail in those other areas. Um, but when he criticizes people, like developers and whatnot, he acknowledges both sides. So that's one of the problems of just, um, it's dangerous to just blindly defend anything without evaluating why you're doing it. Um, so yeah, there's that.
I just want to say thank you so much. You have made my day big time. I actually never thought this would happen, but I just want to say one last time thank you, Nintendo, for everything. And I could still make Mario videos. I just want to say a huge thank you. I am very heartwarmed. Thank you very much.
I wish I could make
Alright,
Mario
here's the
videos.
letter that they told me.
Every time I try to make a Mario video, I always mess stuff up, and I'm like, nope, this isn't gonna work. I'm too much of a perfectionist to stream. I'd like just make Mario videos.
I'll read it to you. Dear Jake, in your letter you spoke about how people who have been mean to you online, and I'm sorry that they've given you such a difficult time. Here at Nintendo, our mission is to put smiles on the faces of everyone we touch. This can be tough, but
I do believe that they think that. I do believe that Nintendo ultimately just wants people to have fun. Um, I do think that that's still their motive. Um, I just wish that their motive was more retrograde, I guess, would be a term. I they're pretty much only focused on the here and now, and that's one of the problems. So a lot of the criticisms that people are throwing at Nintendo now is because they there used to be Nintendo was the gold standard. I mean, literally, the on every single game there was the Nintendo seal of quality, and it was a gold stamp. I mean, it wasn't a stamp, but it was essentially like a gold stamp saying that this game is quality because it's on a Nintendo system. Um, and the man, Nintendo's responsible for such a huge part of my development. I mean, I have Asperger's, so I mean, I told you that in the comments. Back in the 80s, they didn't know what it was. They just thought that I was slow. I was nonverbal until I was 4.5 years old, and then all of a sudden, I just started speaking in full sentences. Um, so most of the coping techniques that I learned that I still use today to cope with like my social anxiety and my and everything else is pretty much. I mean, I had to teach myself all that stuff. You know that and video games were the one thing that I could control when I didn't understand why people were treating me in a certain way whenever I was a kid. I would come home and I would put on Mega Man, and it was this world that I could control, and I was able to do it. I understood it, and it made sense to me. And so Nintendo just doesn't the in a things have to make sense in my head for me. Otherwise, like I can't reconcile them, and then they're just like this constant thorn in my brain, and it's just like I need to figure it out. I need to figure it out. I need to figure it out. And one of the problems with Nintendo now is that they don't seem to be doing that same thing anymore, where they want to be that gold standard. They just kind of want to put out games. And I think a part of that is just, they evolved and the video game landscape has changed. There's very few games that Nintendo actually makes in-house anymore. I think Zelda was the first one that they did for, Breath of the Wild was the first one that they did for a very long time. Um, but yeah, I do think that Nintendo's sincere and that they do want people to just smile.
it's something we care about doing. For example, perhaps we make a game loved by most of our fans, but some of them don't enjoy it at all.
Can't please everyone all the time. I mean, that's just the truth, unfortunately. You could make like the best movie of all time. They already did. It's called Big Trouble in Little China, but not everyone likes Big Trouble in Little China. It's just unfortunate. People are gonna. You cannot please everyone all the time. It's just a simple thing. And yeah, Nintendo understands that. But my big problem with Nintendo is that they're not trying to please. And it's not. I'm not saying that they should specifically cater to the old guard at all times, like to the people that grew up with Nintendo. But like, there's no reason why. Why don't they have an F-Zero game? Anyway.
We want to hear both sides. Maybe the game can be improved so more people can enjoy it. Or maybe the game simply isn't for them, and we can make a different kind of game they'll enjoy.
And that's true. But one of the problems is that Nintendo is very much stuck in their ways nowadays. That they are pretty much only doing the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. They've been doing that really since the GameCube. I mean, what was the last big gamble that Nintendo's taken? I mean, like big gamble that Nintendo's taken. Eternal Darkness on GameCube. I mean, you can say the Wii and the Wii U was a gamble, but like it's a Nintendo system. Everyone's gonna buy it. Um, so but like what's Nintendo just all they do is they just put out the same game over and over and over again anymore. I mean, it's just kind of sad after a point. Um, I mean, let's look at Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing has been the same thing since the N64 when it first came out. Well, GameCube for the United States, but N64 in Japan. Um, I mean, yeah, there's more stuff that you can do in the new versions, but it's the same game. And the excuse that Miyamoto uses for no new F-Zero is that he can't think of a way to make it new again. Well, that's not stopping you with Mario. I mean, how many like 2D side-scrolling Marios has there been that were basically the exact same game? I mean, we went what, like 12 years before we got like a genuinely different Mario game? I mean, because it was what, Galaxy, and then it was just nonstop Super Mario, like um, like the Wii version, and then they just remade that game just with different stages for like what 12 years or whatever until they came out with a new like not even a new Mario, just like Mario 3D World or whatever. Anyway, getting off topic.
When we hear all the positive things our amazing fans like you say, it encourages us to keep up the good work. When we hear our negative things people say it pushes us to think of how to make them happy too.
And that's my main problem with Nintendo is that first one, that first sentence, I 100% believe that. That second sentence, I do not believe that at all. I don't think that they care about our criticism. I think that they've done them, again, they have enough money to hire experts and all this kind of stuff. I feel that they've done the math and they understand that people like me, even though we're not happy with Nintendo, will still buy some of their stuff. They'll still get some money from us, and so they don't care about making us happy anymore. They just want to they want mass appeal rather than and they don't care because they've established their brand. So
We'll keep
I mean, let's. I worked in the movie theater, so I'm not saying Captain Marvel was a bad movie, but I mean, people didn't care. I'm not saying Captain Marvel was a bad movie. It was. Anyway, but I'm not saying that it was a bad movie. But it was released at a point where people didn't care about Captain Marvel. They didn't care about that movie. They didn't care if it was good or bad. All they wanted was Avengers Endgame. That's all they wanted. They wanted that finale. And then they put that movie out and everyone was like, "We don't care." But instead, like, there was this big backlash and anyway, I'm getting off topic again, but they don't want to hear they don't really care about negative critiques anymore because they've done the math, and I feel that they don't care because they know that we'll still pay them for what we want.
keep making great games that you can enjoy and be inspired by. Don't worry. For the people who aren't yet having fun, just leave them to us. We got a lot of smart and talented people on the case figuring out how to let everyone have as much fun as you're having.
And in the end, that's kind of why I decided to actually ask you if I could make this reply because there's don't worry about those people online. Just ignore them. Um, Again, Nintendo doesn't need you to defend them. I mean, you can. I'm not saying not to, but Nintendo ultimately doesn't need you to defend them. Just if you like Nintendo games, have fun. Just play the games and enjoy the games. find people that do like that stuff and talk with them instead of having to deal with all the assholes online that are just there just to get a rise out of people. Um, Generally stay off of Reddit. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Also, you also mentioned that you make Mario videos, and even included a picture you made of Mario along with your letter. It's flattering how Nintendo inspired your creativity. Your work is fantastic. We are still working on our own Mario movie, and will be more when we're ready. And we'll announce more when we're ready. Sorry about that. Thanks again for writing, Jake. As a token of our appreciation for your letter, a few small items have been enclosed. With this response. We are very excited about the future of Nintendo, and we are looking forward to sharing more great games with you. Sincerely, Nintendo of America, Robert Matterson. I just want to say a huge thank you to this guy and all.
So the irony is that my letter from the early 90s from Nintendo that they wrote me is on the exact same letterhead. Like if you put the two side by side, like it will look exact like this. It had that Nintendo. It had the Nintendo on mine was embossed in red though, but I just find it funny that they're still using the same letterhead.
Also, thank you, Nintendo.
30
Thank
years
you
later.
very much. It is very, very, very heartwarming. Gave me our 2 bookmarks. So yeah, Fire Emblem Heroes. I like these 2.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous of that bookmark of the Super Mario bookmark. I like that. That's nice. I don't really read that often because I'm a very slow reader because of my Asperger's. But yeah,
I like them a lot. A friend of mine told me some companies may have bad sides, but they still have good games and good futures ahead of them.
that's kind of what I'm getting at. So yeah, so Nintendo definitely has some bad things going on with them, and we can criticize that while still liking Nintendo. I mean, in the end, I still like Nintendo. I mean, I hate to say it, but Nintendo is overall generally one of the better companies out there. I just wish that they would support the actual fans more. They're longtime fans. I mean, I grew up with Nintendo. But I mean, let's be honest. I still have Nintendo shirts in my closet. I still have Nintendo shirts in my closet from that I got when I was first went through my growth spurt like 30 years ago. It's crazy. But yeah,
Yes, I'm suffering still from PTSD from working through some of the hate videos, like, even though I'm still frustrated at some of them, but truthfully, it's their opinion.
yeah, it is their opinion. And there's I don't mean to be vulgar or anything, but one of the best pieces of advice anyone ever gave me was that um, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. Um, they're People are just gonna be rude, and most of the people, and especially this guy, like I don't remember. I remember his face. I'm bad with names, but I remember this face, and most of the stuff that he does is hyperbolic, and you have to realize most of the stuff on YouTube is hyperbolic for the sake of being hyperbolic, because they want to try and get those clicks. Like, so if something is, if there's a legitimate grievance, then the person's going to be like, "Oh, this is the worst thing ever," because they want to hype it up to be like the worst thing ever. It's not the worst thing ever. Nothing, it's video games. Nothing video game related is ever going to be the worst thing ever. Um, but it's honestly most of the things that have like, oh, the worst, like if someone makes a video, the um new Shining game came out. Was it the Shining game? I don't know. There was an RPG no, Sakura Wars on PS4. Um, the Sakura Tyson game. That game came out and everyone was making videos about like, oh, it's the worst video game. It's so bad. And like, okay, and um, you don't need to hype it up. Like, what does it do good? What does it do bad? Like, be honest about the reviews. Um, like I said with Maximilian, if you haven't seen Maximilian, he's amazing. He's Max is awesome. Wish I could high five him. That'd pretty much make my year. Um, but yeah, find people that are positive and watch their videos rather than people that are negative. Like, yeah, this guy has 2.7 million reviews, but you got to realize the 2.7 million people that watch that are probably equally as unhappy pieces of crap as like he's making the news out to be. Like, how miserable do people have to be to watch Nintendo is the worst video game company ever? Like, how miserable do you really have to be to watch something like that?
Opinion. And some people can agree with their opinion, others won't agree with their opinion. So a guy named Nicole Creation wrote me a response video to correct me about the Skyro X video I made earlier, and I agree with his opinion. I've already watched the entire thing, but yeah, it's their opinions. I don't have to agree with them.
I haven't watched the video, sorry.
Nintendo will still be a good company, and I will always respect their manners. Still to this day, people are still playing Nintendo games. The real reason I wrote that letter earlier is to prove to
Arlo's good. I like Arlo. Um, I think he's very much biased. I wish he would tell the truth more often. But he's good because he enjoys the hype. Um, but yeah, Arlo's pretty good. Avoid IGN like the plague. They're bought and paid for. Anyway,
fans that Nintendo still listens to fans and feedback. And all I wanted was people to stop hating on Nintendo. I know that's never going to happen, but it will eventually.
That is never.
I will always respect Nintendo's manners. I will always love their developers and Sakurai. Nintendo, I just want to say a huge, huge, huge thank you. You have helped me big time. I just want to thank you for everything. Thank you so much.
Nintendo taught me how to read. There was two things that taught me how to read. One was this little, I don't know what it was called. It wasn't. I don't think it's called a speak and spell, but it was this little book thing that you put into this blue frame, and it was like a thick book, and it had barcodes in the book, and it had this little pen that you would pick up, and then you would read this. It had like simple words like like the simple word like 2 and 3 letter words, and then like any of the longer words, it would have a picture of what it was, and then you would run the pen across the barcode, and then it would say it like what the word was. That and Nintendo games taught me how to read. So yeah, I owe Nintendo a lot.
One last thing. Reggie said in a quote that the fans do war sometimes, but the companies themselves are friends with each other. Yes, that video I uploaded earlier, Good Times, it actually showed.
They commingle and they conspire against the players too. Honestly, let's not kid ourselves at that. They actually, they're out for themselves. Let's be honest that like they always. For Sony, it's always, oh, let's do everything we can to make the PlayStation number one. Like Xbox, like let's do everything we can to not be irrelevant again. um, but I bash on Xbox, but that's only because they've been irrelevant since the middle of the 360. But the original Xbox, oh, it's one of my all-time favorite systems. I love that thing. Um, but they do. I mean, yeah, they're friends. I mean, you could see in Sakurai's office, like he has a PlayStation behind him and he has an Xbox behind him and stuff like that in some of the things. Um, didn't Sakurai? No, was it Sakurai? Someone from Nintendo came out and said that they were like, yeah, I've been playing Bloodborne way too much. And I need to get back to actually making games because I've been playing Bloodborne so much that I know Yoshi P from Final Fantasy and Square Enix said that, but there was someone at Nintendo that said that too. I forget who though. But yeah, I mean, they're all inspired by each other. They commingle with each other, but they also plan with each other to get more money out of us. Let's not pretend that they don't do that too.
Showed Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox's CEO all together. Truthfully, they are not rivals or enemies. They are actually friends.
They're rivals,
The
but they're
fans
not.
could
They're
be a
not.
pain in the ass, but I'm still trying to get used
They're
to
not
it.
enemies.
I do love PlayStation, but I just don't like how the fans are saying Nintendo's better or Nintendo's worse. And you know what? It's their opinion. I don't have to agree with it. It is.
So the problem with this is that there's two rivals on here, and then there's one person off in the corner doing their own thing. Sony and Xbox are the rivals. Like they're the ones that are fighting it out right now. They're the ones that are relevant. They're the ones that are the big competition in the video game space. Nintendo is just off doing Nintendo. Like they don't care. They're gonna be off in the corner doing their own thing all the time. That's just Nintendo. That's what they've always done. They don't care about. And it kind of bit them with the Wii U. They don't really care about third party. They're kind of caring about third party now because the indie scene moved from the Xbox over to the Switch. So they're focusing on that a lot, and that's helping them out. But Nintendo's poaching a lot of stuff from Sony, a lot of stuff that I play too, because I'm gonna be honest, I play anime games that have like scantily clad girls in it. It's fun. Don't judge me. But anyway, but yeah, Sony's like they moved their headquarters to the United States. I have probably more problems with Sony right now than I have Nintendo. So like, don't think that I'm bashing Nintendo just to bash Nintendo. I have I have more Sega games than I have anything else. I have almost a full Saturn collection. I have probably somewhere around 2/3 full collection, and I mean full by like Japanese included, like worldwide collection, not just United States games. Um, of Sega CD. Um, so Sega's probably the systems that I own the most for, but Sony's next in line. Yeah. Anyway, but so there's that. But I have major issues with Sony right now. I'm actively boycotting a lot of Sony
It's
stuff right
all
now.
their opinion. I love Xbox as well. I love all three companies.
I love Xbox, the original Xbox, the one that has actual games on it.
They will always be in the very bottom of my heart, especially.
Xbox is playing the long game, so Xbox is probably going to come out on top because they're investing the money now and they have the money to throw around. That Microsoft has more money than Microsoft has more money than Nintendo and Sony combined. And so what they're doing is they're building up an infrastructure right now, and they're making the Game Pass into something that is basically going to be unquestionable value. And the others, like Nintendo, kind of sees it going on. Sony definitely sees it going on, but Sony doesn't have. Um, they can't do anything about it. Um, like Game Pass is going to take over in the future. It's just what it's going to happen.
Especially this one. Thank you, Nintendo, for everything.
It's not going to be this generation, but the next generation Xbox, it's going to come out the gate swinging hard. Yeah, the next generation. My prediction, for whatever it's worth, the next generation Xbox is going to trounce everything.
One last side note. There's one other thing who I want to thank as well. I also want to thank all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much for helping me out with this. I wouldn't get this job without all of your guys' supports. I just want to thank you all big time. I will continue making Mario videos for the years to come. And to that, I thank you all for your support. It is very, very heartwarming, and Nintendo's too. Thank you, Nintendo, for.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, final thoughts. I hope this helped, and I'm sorry that the video is so long. I didn't intend it to be this long, but it just Nintendo does have problems, and it's okay to criticize Nintendo. I mean, we have to be able to criticize what we like if it's ever going to be better. So just ignore the people who are just there just to be negative. Like I don't know how negative this video is going to come across. You know, I'm hoping that have a better understanding of why people are upset. Me specifically, I mean, I showed just some of my grievances, but it is what it is. Yeah, and let me get him back in frame real quick. Hang on. Hero, come here. I don't want to run over your feet. Come on. Oh, yawn. Okay. All right. Come here. Come here. Oh, come here, buddy. Oh, jeez, man. All right. Holy crap. Oh, jeez. All right. Here he is. Sorry, he was asleep at my feet the whole time. Yes, there he is. Oh, he's so tired. He's falling asleep in my arms already. Oh, okay. Hi. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, that's Hero. He's named after a video game actually on the Sega CD. Well, not a video game. He's named after a video game character. But anyway, so yeah, have fun. Hope this helped in the slightest. Sorry again that it's so long. I'm wiping his slobber off my face. Yeah, sorry it's so long. Hope it helped. Have a good night. I'm gonna go play some Saturn. I'm gonna go play Guardian Heroes actually on the Saturn.
Everything.